Hey,
Hi,
how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. My car got into an argument with the parking garage earlier last week. And, um, and I think it was a draw. It wasn't My car wasn't completely defeated, but it has scratches on it now, and I'm unhappy about that. So just a
Yeah,
lot low level dissatisfaction with things right now. And of course,
yeah,
um, reminding myself that we're living in a fascist dictatorship. So of course I'm depressed.
yeah, yeah. I have to take my car in for some maintenance on Wednesday.
Ugh, it's
But
having a car is a pain in the butt.
it is.
But what else are you going to do if you want to get anywhere?
You know. Yep.
So let's escape. Let's go back to Victorian England.
Yay.
Welcome to Goodnight, Mr. Holmes, a podcast about the Granada Sherlock Holmes, which ran on ITV in the UK between 1984 and 1994, ran on Masterpiece Mystery in the US around the same time. I'm Laura.
And I'm Rachel.
And today we're picking up where we left off last time, looking not at the Granada Holmes, but at the 2002 version of Hound of the Baskervilles, starring Richard Roxburgh as Holmes and Ian Hart as Watson. And so this is the
If anybody listening wants to watch this with us on Amazon, they screwed up the thumbnail. I have no idea what that's from, but
I don't either.
The goofiest Holmes and Watson ever.
Yes.
Search under Richard Roxburgh's name and choose Hound of the Baskervilles, despite what the thumbnail looks like. That's how you'll find it.
Yes, that's exactly what I did. So we left off after the Hound had made an appearance at the window of Baskerville Hall following a dinner party and a seance. Mm-hmm. Or was it Merripit House they were at?
They were at Merripit House.
Merripit House, yeah. So Watson and Sir Henry back at Baskerville Hall have broken out the brandy. Sir Henry goes,
there's so much brandy drinking in this house.
My God, yes.
Everybody is sloshed all the time.
1,000%, yes. So Sir Henry goes into the kitchen to get it, but he's confronted by Selden, the murderer, who rushes at him and attacks him. Watson hears the commotion, grabs his revolver, comes in and points it at Selden, telling him not to move or he'll shoot.
Yeah, Selden is in the act when Watson comes in of stuffing a chicken or turkey or goose leg into his coat.
Oh, I missed that. I was like, oh, skirmishing. And Selden promptly turns and dives through a window, sending glass everywhere.
Selden calls his bluff. And Henry's watching in horror, like, do you know what it will cost me to replace that window?
No, I know. Yes. Sir Henry and Watson pursue him through the hedge maze.
Yeah, those scary tall hedges definitely move around at night when nobody is looking.
Yes. It's very, very the Shining. And so they get to the side gate, and Selden is out on the moor, running who knows where. Sir Henry urges Watson to shoot. He says a lucky shot might wing him. But Watson withdraws his weapon. I never shoot an unarmed man in the back, he tells Sir Henry. So they just watch him go. Look, I get the gentleman's code. That's a thing. But Selden is a murderer. He's not a gentleman.
And for anybody listening saying, oh, well, just shoot him in the leg. Sharpshooters are rare among the population.
Yes.
You can't really do that.
No, and especially not with a pistol at that range. Yeah. If he'd had a shotgun with a sight, he might have been able to do something, but no. But then there's a figure standing on a nearby tor, this like pile of stones, catching Watson's attention. And he turns to tell Sir Henry, but the figure disappears. We hear a loud moaning, like baying at the moon sound. And Sir Henry says, it's the cry of the hound.
It's a dog who likes to howl into a megaphone.
Yes. Do you believe the gods visit the sins of the father upon the children? Sir Henry asks. No, I do not, Watson says very firmly. And they go back inside, where Barrymore is nailing boards in the frame of the window that Selden shattered.
Yeah, almost like he has all this stuff out of waiting to be used.
Yes.
Selden likes to leave rooms. He just dives through the nearest window, open or closed.
I love that the window panes, the stunt window panes that they make, they're made out of sugar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
So you can eat the crumbs when you're done.
Yes. I can only think that I failed to lock the door properly, Barrymore says, and he's looking utterly chagrined. I'm very sorry. Mrs. Barrymore is watching this exchange, but she says nothing. The next day,
and Henry stalks out in disgust, and then Barrymore looks at his wife like, I think he's buying it.
No, because of the whole, like, Barrymore's been having an affair openly.
Yeah.
Like, he's fed up with Barrymore.
Yeah.
The next day, Watson's rambling the moor, and he comes across a sort of structure made of stones. It looks like the base of a tower that might have once stood there.
Maybe. Wasn't it supposed to be like a Neolithic stone hut or something?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, I had the word hut in my notes, but
yes, I have the word Neolithic somewhere in my notes.
So Watson pulls out his gun and starts sneaking over to this structure. Going inside, he sees that it's inhabited. There's a frying pan and a number of bottles and cans. Watson uncorks a bottle, gives it a sniff, and takes a swig.
Yeah, I like to think that when this Holmes and Watson get to the Devil's Foot case and Watson lectures Holmes for taking a potentially dangerous potion to experiment with it, Holmes counters with something like, oh, which one of us went into a strange, supposedly abandoned house on the moor, found a bottle of something like brandy, and just started chugging it?
Yes. I'm like, you're feeling threatened, and I get that you might like to fortify yourself with liquid courage. How do you know that that thing is what it smells like? There's no label. You're assuming the person you're investigating is nefarious, so why would you drink his liquor? And then comes a voice that is clearly Holmes's. It is exceedingly cold out here, Watson. I wonder if I might come in without you shooting me. And he pops around the doorway and comes in. Watson is, at first, incredibly glad to see him. And Holmes says that he allowed the moon to rise behind him on the tour the night before so that Watson could get a glimpse of him. But Watson's pleasure at seeing Holmes then quickly turns to resentment.
Anger.
Rage.
Yes. Watson is pissed.
You've used me, he says. And he accuses Holmes of not trusting him. But Holmes
I think I deserve better at your hands, Holmes.
Yes. Holmes denies that he doesn't trust Watson and says if he'd shown up at Baskerville Hall, their, quote, formidable opponents would have been tipped off that Sir Henry was getting serious help.
Yeah, which, I mean, Stapleton would have just sat on his hands and done nothing until Holmes got tired of waiting around and he and Watson went back to London for real.
Exactly. So he's been hiding out on the moor, waiting to make his appearance at the critical moment, he says. Mm-hmm. Why keep me in the dark? Watson wants to know.
Because you're a bad actor.
He's just like seething. Okay. All my reports have been wasted. But Holmes says no. He's been having the letters forwarded to him from Baker Street. They're only been
here, and they contain the loveliest prose I've ever read. I sleep with them clutched to my heart. Please stop yelling at me.
They are wrapped with a navy blue ribbon. That's very. He pulls out this packet of letters and he starts complimenting Watson's enthusiasm.
Yeah. He's clearly trying to head off another outburst.
Yes, but Watson's having none of it. I'm furious with you, Holmes, he says. No shit. That's your prerogative, Holmes says. But he reprimands Watson for leaving Sir Henry alone at Baskerville Hall. And they hear a man screaming. The Hound, Holmes exclaims, and they run across the moor together. Watson's kind of laden down. He's got his binoculars in his case, and he's got his gun, and like he's got equipment.
Yeah, he also, I think this Watson, they're doing the leg injury. Because
interesting.
When he runs, he clutches his left hand.
Huh.
I once I injured my right hand once and had to learn how to write with my left hand. And since then, I've had the hardest time telling the difference between right and left. This is my left hand. So he clutches his left hand to his lower abdomen as he runs, and then his right hand is kind of waving to like help him move.
Yeah, counterbalance and
every time he runs like that.
Okay, I hadn't noticed that. That's cool. Yeah. And so they're running towards this sound, and they see a hat on the ground. It's Sir Henry, Holmes says. A little further on, we see Sir Henry lying on the ground, covered in blood. Watson rushes over to him, feels for his pulse. He's dead, Holmes. I shall never forgive myself. It's my fault, Watson, Holmes says. In order to complete my case, I've thrown away the life of my client.
Don't worry, it's not the first time that's happened.
That's true.
Probably won't be the last.
So Watson says they're going to need help getting him back to the hall, but then Holmes notices something and he starts to smile. And then he's outright laughing. And Watson is completely outraged at this point. Look at the hands, Holmes says. It's the convict, Selden. But these are Sir Henry's clothes, Watson says. But Watson looks at the hand, and through all the blood, and there's a copious amount of blood, he sees a tattoo.
Yeah, so when I called your attention to the tattoo on Selden's hand at the very beginning when we saw him run away, that's why they did the close-up on the hand.
Okay. Cool. And it does look like a prison tattoo. It's like not particularly artistic.
No.
And Watson turns the body over and he sees Selden's face, which is also blood-soaked. And I guess they leave him there, but they go back to the hall.
Yeah, I guess they do leave him there, yeah.
Holmes is instructing Watson not to talk about the hound to Sir Henry. Let him think that Selden died from a fall, he says. That way he'll have more courage for, quote, the ordeal he's going to have to undergo. What ordeal? Watson asks. But Holmes just turns away and starts walking back towards Baskerville Hall.
Yeah, which should tell Watson how happy he's going to be when he finds out.
Yes. I mean, yeah. Holmes is kind of being a dick to Watson in this.
Yeah, in this house, yes.
Yes. So in front of a roaring fire, Sir Henry introduces Holmes to the Barrymores.
Yeah, there's enough time has passed that Holmes is clearly bathed and shaved. He had quite a bit of stubble.
That's true. Yeah. But this Holmes is kind of blondish. So it was a little hard to see. Holmes is now wearing tweeds, asks Mrs. Barrymore to sit down, but she says she prefers to stand. I'm afraid I have some bad news for you, Holmes says, at which point she sits down. They've caught him, Barrymore says. They'll hang him now, Mrs. Barrymore says. No, Mrs. Barrymore, your brother is beyond the law, Holmes says. We found his body as we crossed the moor. It seems he must have slipped and fallen from one of the high tors. He died instantly. At which point, Watson hands Mrs. Barrymore a very large glass of brandy. And I noticed Sir Henry didn't look that put out at the fact that this is probably the nice French brandy they were drinking the night before.
He's probably used to it at this point.
Yes.
He's just given up.
I take it that he is your brother from the tears you have shed for him, Holmes says.
Yeah, and Henry looks at Holmes like, her brother.
Yeah.
And Barrymore has to explain to Henry that when women get married in this day and age, they take their husband's names.
Yes. No further need to signal out on the moor or leave food out for him or give him Sir Henry's discarded clothes, Holmes says. Don't be angry, Sir Henry, Mrs. Barrymore says. Any blame in the matter lies with me, not with my husband. Anything he's done for my sake. And
I have to say, this is an absolutely beautiful shot. Like the composition, the color palette, the lighting. Like if it weren't for Watson rolling his eyes,
yes,
it could be a painting.
So the story of the lover, Sir Henry asks. I love my wife, sir. There's never been anyone else for me. Barrymore takes her hand and Mrs. Barrymore breaks into sobs again and kind of collapses on Barrymore.
Yeah, that's the first time she really starts crying.
Yeah, well, she had been sort of weeping a little.
A little, but not like the woman.
No, she's
like hurling herself at the furniture.
Right, exactly. So over wine and a cold supper and toasting to the upcoming Christmas season, Sir Henry says he's not going to involve the police. He thinks the Barrymores have suffered enough. But he's flummoxed that Mrs. Barrymore still loved her brother. Despite his immense strength, Watson says, mentally he was still a child.
So maybe their parents sucked.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I guess that's the way she continued to see him. Perhaps he was responsible for the noises we heard, Sir Henry says. I don't doubt it, Holmes says. So you think the matter is cleared up? I do. You have nothing more to fear, Holmes says, which is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Henry mentions that he's been invited to Merripit House to see Miss Stapleton, and Holmes perks up at this. How is the invitation made? She sent a note. May I see it? Sir Henry takes
It's
it
cut
out.
out words that say, if you value your life or
Yeah.
your dinner with us on Friday.
Yes, this is not the first note from Miss Stapleton. Holmes studies the envelope.
And he sniffs the paper.
Yes, he's smelling it. He looks at the note itself and he hands it back to Sir Henry, saying, if you were thinking of a Christmas gift for Miss Stapleton, she wears white jasmine.
So remember Holmes sniffing the note back
Yes,
in Bakersfield.
exactly. Yep. And white jasmine is a common scent. Even today, there are tons of different brands that carry a white jasmine scent.
Cool.
Yeah. So Sir Henry also sniffs at the letter and he looks pleased. He's in love.
She is very pretty.
She is, yes. At the mortuary, Watson is examining Selden's body. Holmes is concluding that the fact that Selden was wearing Sir Henry's clothes had marked him out for death. The killer had thought that he was ending Sir Henry's life. Holmes notes that the black boot that had been stolen at the hotel was, the scent that spurred the dog to attack. So it's been trained on the boot. Yeah. Then it's murder, Watson says. Murder by dog. He's been wearing a leather apron and washing his hands after the exam, which I love that touch of him washing his hands.
Yeah, good for him.
Yes. Refined, cold-blooded, deliberate murder, Holmes says. But my nets are closing upon him. There's only one significant danger, that our man should strike before we are ready. Our man, Watson asks. For God's sake, Holmes, tell me. He's local. My analysis of the soil that I took from his cab told me that much.
So we can assume there that Holmes stuck around Baker Street long enough to do that analysis and then
Yes.
put all the clues together, realized everything was happening in Dartmoor, and made arrangements to hang out in that abandoned house.
Yes, exactly. It is Stapleton who is our enemy, Holmes says. My God, Watson says. He released the hound last night in the hope that Sir Henry would be out on the moor. Invited by Miss Stapleton, Watson says. Exactly, at Stapleton's instigation, I'm sure, Holmes says. So it was he who was dogging us in London, Watson says, and the warning letter, cut out from the newspaper, which cut out by manicure scissors, that must have come from her. His wife, Holmes says. What? I'm giving you some information now in return for that which you have given me, Holmes says. The lady who has passed here as his sister is in reality his wife. Why the elaborate deception? Because he foresaw that she would be very much more useful to him in the character of a free woman. Not that any woman was terribly free back then.
Yeah.
And all this you have withheld from me, Watson says, his resentment returning.
And Holmes is like, oh, we're on this again.
Yes, exactly. I'm telling you, Holmes, it won't do. I insist upon being fully informed from this point onward. Of course. Again, probably lying. Watson wants to know why Stapleton is doing this, but Holmes confesses that the motive isn't immediately apparent to him. Can we arrest him? Watson asks. We have the ghost of a case, Holmes says. And
I love this exchange.
Yeah, that they be laughed out of court. There's Sir Charles's death, Watson points out. Found without a mark upon him. You and I know that he died of sheer fright, and we also know what frightened him. But are we to get 12 stolid jurymen to know it? If we can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that the dreadful creature who did this is controlled by Stapleton, set upon its victims by Stapleton, then we'll have a case.
I like that they addressed this.
Yes, me too. So they go back to Baskerville Hall from the mortuary. I'm also always surprised that Watson is able to gain entrance to whatever mortuary he wants.
I'm a doctor. Okay.
Realize that doesn't work that way. Sir Henry has his arms full of holly branches, and I noticed he was wearing thick gloves, thick leather gloves, because that's my first thought. I used to live in a house with a holly tree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in the summertime, the leaves come down, and you don't want to be barefoot
No.
in the backyard when that's happening. He's got a couple of fowls that are hanging upside down from the kitchen ceiling. Not very sanitary. Sir Henry's asking Holmes which he prefers for Christmas dinner, turkey or goose. But Holmes says it won't matter because he and Watson are returning to London first thing tomorrow.
And Watson looks at him like he literally just had this conversation.
Christmas Day, there's no train, surely, Sir Henry points out. One milk train, hideously early in the morning, Holmes replies. And yes, there were trains transporting dairy products, milk, and large tanks back then. But it's interesting, milk trains didn't really get going until the 1920s, when the British railway system began to get consolidated into 4 different railroad companies. And taking the milk train became a euphemism for traveling hideously early in the morning.
Interesting.
Yeah. I see, Sir Henry says, and he's looking disappointed. Holmes says they'll come back soon. Watson's going to leave his things there as a pledge that he'll return. But they'll stay for Christmas Eve. And we see carriages of the local gentry pulling up in front of Baskerville Hall. And there's this funny scene where, I mean, Sir Henry's very mischievous. He's standing under a sprig of mistletoe and greeting Mrs. Mortimer. You know what that is, he says, looking up. And I mean, it's just so cute. Oh, certainly, she says. The Druids regarded collecting mistletoe against the festival of the winter as one of high solemnity and importance.
He's such a nerd. I love it.
I have that exact note. She's a nerd. But Sir Henry reminds her that he has the right to kiss any beautiful woman who happens to pass beneath. And Geraldine James, the actress, can't quite blush on command, but she does a really good job looking both embarrassed and pleased. And he does the same to Miss Stapleton as she comes through. But that kiss is a different one. Sir Henry lingers. A bit.
Yes.
And Watson notices. How can he allow that? Watson says, because Stapleton is watching this whole thing. Oh, the fact that Sir Henry is falling in love with her can only advance Stapleton's cause. I tell you, Watson, we have never had a foe more worthy of our steel. So Stapleton comes over to shake Holmes's hand. And
Watson is glaring at him.
Yes.
Walks up and this is why Holmes didn't tell you anything. You're a bad actor.
Yes. That's canon at this point. Stapleton says, you interest me very much. And he's looking over Holmes's head. I'd hardly expect so dolichocephalic a skull or such well-marked supraorbital development. And these were the lines that Dr. Mortimer in the Granada production
said at the very beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
It fits much better here with Stapleton.
Oh, Stapleton's so sinister.
Yeah, because these lines are creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
The whole exchange. I covet your skull.
I know, yes. He's looking so hungrily at Holmes. Would you object to my running my finger along your parietal fissure?
I would object in the strongest possible terms.
A cast of your skull, until the original becomes available, would be an ornament to any anthropological museum. I confess, I covet your skull.
And Holmes looks like Stapleton has actually left him speechless.
Yeah, which is very, very difficult.
Yes.
At this point, they're interrupted because Sir Henry's summoning the crowd to the entertainment, which is a pantomime Christmas show with...
I have no idea what the fuck is going on with this.
You don't. With Christmas pantomimes, you don't.
Okay.
They theoretically, they follow a storyline. Sometimes it's Jack and the Beanstalk. Stuff that's not related to Christmas. And then they cram in all this Christmas stuff.
Okay.
So we've got a knight on a fake horse summoning a really weird looking Father Christmas, like a crone dressed up like Father Christmas. And as everyone is watching, Holmes disappears. And suddenly we hear the hound again. But this time, it's part of the pantomime. So this huge, enormous pantomime hound comes out, and they're all speaking in poetry and going on with this pantomime. And then there's dancing. And I notice it's folk dancing, not waltzes.
Yeah.
And Beryl Stapleton says,
well, this isn't high society. This is
the village.
People. Yeah.
So Beryl Stapleton says to Jack Stapleton, I feel we ought to go. He says no, and she says, I fear Sir Henry wants to dance. Then dance, he says.
Yeah, meanwhile, Holmes has picked the lock on Merripit House and then picks the lock on Stapleton's desk.
Yes, it's a beautiful roll-top desk.
Yeah, and he finds that picture of the 3 Baskerville brothers.
Yes.
The one that we saw Watson look at in Henry's bedroom. And he finds the black boot.
The boot. He takes the boot out of a drawer. Yeah. Back at Baskerville Hall, Beryl and Sir Henry are hanging out together outside, presumably getting air after having danced. He notes her perfume, and he says he hasn't been able to go out much. He'd like to see more of the countryside. What I really need is a guide, he says, preferably a beautiful one. He's not subtle. I'm a little cold, Beryl says, looking uncomfortable.
Yeah, she's not subtle either. That wasn't flirtatious. Ooh, maybe you could give me a coat. It's cold out here. I'm going to go inside. Okay.
But Sir Henry kisses her. She kisses back, but then she pulls away. We mustn't do this. You really must go. So it's not like Sir Henry's accosting her.
Yeah.
She clearly likes him, but this whole setup is against her will.
Yeah.
What do you mean go? Sir Henry says. Leave this place, Beryl says. But before she can say more, Stapleton appears, saying Mrs. Mortimer wants to dance with Sir Henry. So Sir Henry reluctantly goes inside. Stapleton moves closer to Beryl, menacingly. And this is, the scene gave me the creeps.
Yeah.
What were you saying to him? He asks. I can't, Beryl tells him. I won't do anything more to help you. Do you want me to hurt you? Stapleton says. No.
Being eerily calm as he does all this.
Yes. Then why are you making me angry? Stapleton says. And then he grabs her and he kind of startles her. Like he doesn't quite say boo.
Yeah.
But she jumps. Do I scare you? And he's manhandling her while also kissing her in an incredibly threatening way.
Her by the back of the neck at this point.
Yes, and I'm thinking she's going to have finger bruises on her arms and
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah. So PSA, if your abusive spouse does this, your chances of becoming a homicide victim increase dramatically.
1,000%. Yes.
Your spouse is working their way up to killing you.
Yes. No. Anytime the hands go to the neck.
Yeah.
That's not a no. Don't run like the wind.
Yes.
Watson is back inside shooting pool alone, while Stapleton is searching for Holmes. I think he might have gone up to his room, Watson tells him. Parties, are not really his thing. Stay, let's have a game. I don't play, Stapleton says, and he's looking a little anxious, which he deserves. I'll teach you, Watson says. I don't want to, Stapleton says. Then let me teach you a trick shot, Watson says, being utterly annoying. He's counting on the facade of good manners between gentlemen.
Well, as we sort of hear, I think also this is kind of just Watson.
Yeah, that too. He does take tremendous pride in being a gentleman.
Well, no, the pool thing.
Oh,
he really does want somebody to play pool with him.
Preferably if there's money on the game.
Exactly.
I have no interest in trick shots, Stapleton says. I want to talk to Mr. Holmes. What about, my dear fellow? Holmes enters the room, holding a cigarette. A word of friendly advice. He lights the cigarette. Never play Watson, particularly not for money. He's an absolute demon. I'll remember that, Stapleton says, turning to leave the pool room. Holmes is chalking up a cue. What was it you wanted with me? He asks Stapleton. I wondered if you and Dr. Watson and Sir Henry would join us for drinks tomorrow morning at Merripit House, after church, perhaps. Drinks in the morning.
Yeah.
We cannot.
Watson's like, we'll be there.
We cannot, I fear. We must return to London. And Holmes flips a coin. On Christmas Day, sadly, says Watson. We're catching the boat train to the continent on Boxing Day, Holmes says. Our services are required in France. So a boat train.
Yeah, we've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again.
Yeah, it's not an amphibious vessel.
Yeah.
It's the train takes you to the boat.
The train just sort of goes into the water across the channel.
So there's lots of different kinds of trains in this movie. Quel dommage, Stapleton says, and he leaves.
And Holmes said, absolument.
Oh, yes. I understand your guests are leaving tomorrow, Beryl says to Sir Henry as they prepare to depart the party. You must dine with us tomorrow evening. You cannot.
A lovely, like burgundy velvet coat.
Yes, it's like a cloak thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes.
You cannot dine alone on Christmas Day, Stapleton says. It's too miserable. Which I beg to differ. I actually enjoy dining alone on Christmas Day. I get to have exactly what I want when I want
I
it.
suspect a lot of people do, yes.
I'd be delighted, Sir Henry says. He sees his guests off with some Christmas cheer, glory to God in the highest, and peace be in, goodwill towards men, all that shouting after them as they all take off in their carriages. Inside, Holmes is looking at the family portraits.
In the dining room, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know who they all are? He asks Watson.
And we get close-ups of a couple of them, including a little girl with these black eyes.
Yes.
Maybe the curse of the Baskervilles has nothing to do with the dog and everything to do with this demon-possessed child.
It looks like one of those kids from, the guy who painted the children with like big sad eyes.
Oh, yeah.
It turned out it was his wife doing the painting the whole time.
Yeah.
And so Holmes asks, which one is Sir Hugo? Watson points to the stern-looking portrait of a man in black with a lace collar. Sort of
You look at it and you're like, oh, somebody actually did a portrait of Richard E. Grant.
Yes. With a sort of Van Dyke-y beard.
Yeah.
Goatee.
Yeah, unlike the Granada version where you're like, I guess maybe if you squint until your head, it looks like
Right.
Stapleton. But this actually does look like Stapleton.
Yes, with a goatee, yes. Do you see anything there, Holmes asks, drawing nearer to the picture? Is it like anyone you know? There's something of Sir Henry about the jaw, Watson says.
Watson would not make a great detective. He is just the sidekick.
Completely missing the point, yes. Just a suggestion, perhaps, Holmes says, pushing a side table over to the portrait, climbing up on it with a candle, and he helps Watson up as well. I'm sure those shoes are doing a number on the furniture polish. Holmes covers the lower part of Sir Hugo's face with a little notebook, and the men can now see the resemblance to Stapleton, the eyes. That fellow is a Baskerville. That is evident, Holmes says. The papers I found tonight at Merripit House have supplied us with our most obvious missing links. We have him, Watson. We have him, and he's cackling.
Yeah, he like pats Watson on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's very cute.
Yes.
And his laugh again transitions to a train whistle.
Yes. So they're on the milk train. And Holmes and Watson get off at the next town over. Exeter, Watson asks, disbelievingly. And then he spots Lestrade. He came down last night at my invitation, Holmes says. You're the most infuriating man alive, Watson says. Possibly. And they go and meet up.
And he asks Watson, do you trust me? Watson doesn't have time to respond before they meet Lestrade, but also, hint. You keep getting busted for keeping secrets multiple times after promising not to. That's
right.
Probably a bad time to ask your partner if they trust you.
Absolutely. Yes. So meanwhile, the town of Grimpen is crammed into the little local church singing I Saw Three Ships, which is not a true, it is a Christmas carol, but it's not a hymn. It's more of a folk song. So I just don't know why they'd be singing it in church. Holmes and Watson are in the railway station restaurant, and then...
Well, it's Lestrade and Watson.
Yes, Lestrade and Watson.
Yeah, we don't see Holmes because in another scene that was cut from the original version, Holmes is shooting heroin in the bathroom.
Oh, that explains my confusion here.
Yeah, so, again, I hate that a company edits things out of shows and movies. Blockbuster did this too back in the day, and it was reprehensible then. I hate to admit this, but I have to admit this. Losing that scene does kind of help the movie.
Yeah.
But they should have cut the restaurant scene as well if they were going to do that, because this just raises the question of why we're seeing Watson and Lestrade and not Holmes.
Yes, and why I got confused and thought it was Holmes. So, and suddenly they're in a cart with Lestrade going across the moor. And that evening, Beryl is getting dressed for dinner.
Wearing a lovely champagne-colored dress.
Yes. She's looking
earrings
at herself in the mirror, and there are small bruises on her neck from the night before. I can't wear this dress, she says. You have to, Stapleton says. Come on. He comes over and he puts a large pearl choker around her neck to hide the bruises.
Yeah, emphasis on choker around here. I kind of don't think that was an accident.
I agree, yeah. It could have been a scarf loosely draped or something, but no. I can't do it, she says. Oh, yes, you can, Stapleton says, giving her another threatening kiss.
Yeah, and he's massaging her shoulders.
Menacingly.
Yeah.
And she's still saying, I won't do it, but he's just smiling and massaging her shoulders.
And then we cut to a shot of him because it's night.
Yes. Sir Henry arrives at Merripit House, and Stapleton greets him. I'm afraid I have some disappointing news, he says. He tells Sir Henry that his and Burrell's mother has taken ill, and Burrell has rushed off to see her. She won't be at dinner. Stapleton leads Sir Henry's horse around to the stable while Sir Henry goes inside. So I guess Stapleton doesn't have a man like Sir Henry does.
Yeah, he might not. It's also, I think, important that Stapleton does it himself. Right here.
Yeah. Yep. So Holmes, Watson, and Lestrade are watching from outside. Through the window, Watson watches as Stapleton pours wine for himself and Sir Henry. They're beginning to sit down.
Henry's looking unhappy. Like he would really rather not be there.
Yes. And Watson notices that Beryl is missing. Where is she? I don't like it, Holmes, Watson says, and his voice is like tight with tension.
Yeah, like Holmes, I don't like this, Holmes. Like Holmes set this up.
Right.
What do you want me to do about it?
The hound howls from the moor. Inside, Stapleton is carving the meat. I can't tell whether it's a bird or a roast.
It's the most unappetizing hunk of meat I've ever seen.
It looks like puree molded.
Yeah, like
It's
yeah,
gross.
it does kind of look like a gelatin mold.
Yeah.
I made meatloaf for you.
Watson, meanwhile, is kind of getting nervous because the fog is rolling in. In 10 minutes, the path will be covered. In 20, we won't be able to see our hands in front of us. Lestrade suggests they move to higher ground, but Holmes is having none of it. Watson's clearly feeling like they're in over their heads. I'm calling this off, he says.
And he and Holmes almost get into a physical fight.
Yes. And he says, I'm calling this off and taking Sir Henry home. And he starts towards the house. Watson, I forbid it. Holmes hisses at him. Take your hands off me, Watson says. Someone's coming out, Lestrade says, and they all shut up and keep hiding. It's Stapleton, and he's leading Sir Henry's horse. It's suddenly lame.
Oh no, how could that have happened?
It's thrown a shoe. That's very strange, Sir Henry notes. And Beryl, of course, has gone off in the carriage, Stapleton says. You're welcome to stay. Sir Henry refuses, but he agrees to let Stapleton keep the horse overnight, so it doesn't damage his hoof walking across the moor.
Yeah.
He's going to walk back to Baskerville Hall. As Sir Henry walks, Stapleton is putting on gloves and getting out that black boot from the desk drawer. He goes to an outbuilding with it. The fog is coming in thick and fast. The three, Holmes, Watson, and Lestrade, all pull out pistols. And the hound emerges from the fog, snarling. And
Holmes slowly lowers his gun in shock. Dear God, I've
real.
never seen such a bad special effect before in my life.
No, it does. It looks like a giant growling Muppet.
Oh my God, it's awful. But again, I don't consider that to be a downside with an adaptation found at the Baskervilles. I don't want it to look real.
No.
I don't want to have to think about this poor dog.
Right. Yes. Well, and also, we were talking about this last time. The ultimate representation of the scary thing is a lot less scary than the idea of it.
Right. Yeah.
So the men shoot at the hound. Holmes yells at Lestrade to go.
They all miss.
Stapleton. Yes, they all miss. Sir Henry's about halfway across the moor when the hound comes tearing after him. Sir Henry stumbles to the ground. The hound attacks.
That's the damsel in distress thing.
Oh, yeah. Like he tripped over a root or something, a rock. But as Sir Henry is screaming and the hound is mauling him.
Yeah, it is a vicious attack.
Holmes and Watson come upon them. The hound turns towards them and they shoot it to death. Watson rushes over to Sir Henry. He's been very badly hurt. And so they kind of lift him up, and then Watson slings him over his shoulder and takes him
back, because taking the guy with the bad war injury leg to the carrying is a good idea.
Yes. And he's slung over his shoulder. So he can just bleed all the way there.
Exactly.
So Watson's taking him back to Baskerville Hall. And as they pass the hound, Watson says, "My God, what is it?" "It's dead, whatever it is," Holmes says.
It's a Muppet.
A dead Muppet, yes. So Holmes goes back to Merripit House, where Lestrade is sitting at the dining room table with a gun pointed at Stapleton, and Stapleton is handcuffed. Holmes introduces Lestrade to Stapleton, saying, "He's got a warrant for your arrest for murder." Lestrade,
And Stapleton's like, "Yeah, see my handcuffed hands? I had figured that out. Thank you."
Lestrade, meet Jack Stapleton, real name John Baskerville, son of Roger Baskerville, Sir Charles's younger brother. It was thought that Roger died childless. He did not. Late in life, he married a whore named Mary Prescott. They had one child, and here he sits, next in line for the Baskerville fortune. Only two people got in his way, his uncle Sir Charles and his cousin Henry. I kind of don't like the implication that maybe Stapleton's the way he is because his mother was a prostitute. Like, just because your mom was technically criming doesn't mean you're going to grow up in crime.
Was this version or the Granada version where they mention, it might have been this version, that Roger was just kind of dissolute anyway.
Yeah.
So I got the feeling like marrying a prostitute was just sort of
A symptom. Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean, we won't even get into the politics of sex work, which
yes.
that could be a whole other episode.
Yes.
So at Baskerville Hall, Watson's laying Sir Henry out on a long table.
Yeah, Barrymore dramatically sweeps everything off the table. Like he's been his whole life to do that.
And he demands that they send for Dr. Mortimer and ask Mrs. Barrymore for scissors. I guess they're going to cut his clothes off him or something. Back at Merripit House, so we're going back and forth. We're bouncing back and forth between Baskerville Hall and Merripit House. Holmes is saying, "You cultivated a friendship with Sir Charles, and you soon discovered his heart was weak. So you set about exploiting the superstition that surrounds the Baskervilles. You obtained the largest, most ferocious hound you could find. You beat it and brutalized it and waited for your chance. Your chance was slow to come, wasn't it? The old man couldn't be lured out onto the moor, could he? You needed a beautiful woman as bait. Once he was under her spell, it was easy." Easy, protests Stapleton. How do you think any of this was easy?
I love that. Like Holmes is laying out the most elaborate scheme in history. And Stapleton's like, this wasn't exactly straightforward.
Right. And then he says, "How did I call it on or call it off?" And Holmes grabs Stapleton right then, and he searches his pockets and pulls out a dog whistle. "With this," he says, "the same whistle you used on the night of the seance to call the creature to the window."
And we see a quick flashback of that.
Yeah. Yep.
And, Stapleton coughed right at the beginning of the seance. He had the dog whistle in his hand.
I didn't realize. Okay. "With spectacular effect," Stapleton says. "Now don't try to tell me the great Sherlock Holmes wasn't frozen with fear when my hound, the Hound of the Baskervilles, came at him from out of the fog. Easy? It wasn't easy at all." "You think what you've done is special," Holmes says. "It isn't special."
I love that. I love that line.
"But it will be remembered," Stapleton says. "Oh, I don't think so," Holmes says, ignoring completely, of course, that Watson is going to write all of this up.
Well, and that's what Stapleton means, yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks to you, it will.
Yes. It's going to sell 1 billion copies.
Exactly. Someday they're going to do an adaptation of it. It'll be on Amazon.
Many adaptations. At Baskerville Hall, Dr. Mortimer rushes in with his bag and medical supplies. Watson leaves Sir Henry in Dr. Mortimer's care while he goes back to Merripit House. I mean, this is just, the back and forth is insane.
But it works well. I like it.
Yes.
It's insane if you're having to write notes.
Yes. Holmes is pacing around the dining room table where Lestrade is still pointing the gun at Stapleton. "How could you explain the fact that you, as heir, have been living unannounced under another name so close to Baskerville Hall without arousing suspicion? How did you intend to do that?" And Stapleton smiles. He says nothing.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I didn't really think of that part."
"It's not about the money, is it?" Holmes says. "It's about revenge. Revenge on the family that destroyed your father, allowed him to die a penniless, syphilitic drunk." Okay. And Stapleton abruptly stands up and he gets in Holmes's face. I'm so glad to have met you, Mr. Holmes. Conceited, opinionated, egotistical, vain. And here he claps Holmes on the cheeks. All disembodied mind and cold calculation. You're no match for me. As far as I'm aware, you were employed by Dr. Mortimer to protect Sir Henry Baskerville. How is Sir Henry, by the way? At which point Watson rushes in. He's alive, just. Dr. Mortimer's with him. Have you found Miss Stapleton? No, Holmes says. So
not that I looked, but no, she's not in the kitchen. We have determined that.
Yes. So Watson goes tearing through Merripit House looking for her. And Holmes says, but she's not Miss Stapleton, is she? She's your wife. I have no wife, Stapleton says. You were arrogant enough to show Watson a dagger that you kept in your possession. Only it wasn't found on Dartmoor by a man called Stapleton. It was found in Kent by a man called Baker. Holmes pulls out this newspaper clipping from his pocket. You and your wife at a reception at the British Museum. I have no wife, Stapleton says again.
Literally a copy of your marriage certificate.
Yes.
And I'm not exaggerating. Like, Holmes actually pulls out a copy of the marriage certificate.
And Stapleton yanks it and tosses it behind him. I have no wife.
And you start to get chills.
Yes. Watson has left Merripit House.
You start to realize what he's actually saying.
Yeah. Watson begins ransacking the outbuildings looking for her. A wife you terrorized and brutalized, Holmes says.
I have no
wife. But she wouldn't do it this time, would she? Wouldn't bait the trap, Holmes says. I have no wife. This time she said no, Holmes says. I have no wife, Stapleton says. I mean, it's intense.
Yeah.
Watson opens the door to one of the outbuildings and he sees Burl trussed up with a huge rope and hanging from the ceiling. She's been beaten within an inch of her life. He cuts her down, feels for a pulse, and sits back in grief and disgust because Stapleton was telling the truth.
Yeah.
She is no more.
In the most chilling way possible.
Yes.
So, yeah, in terms of all cold calculation and
yes,
no heart and you're no match for me, that's because he's a psychopath.
Right.
Holmes is not.
So
Holmes has his issues, but he's not a psychopath.
No, he's not a psychopath. Watson's in an absolute rage, and he goes back to Merripit House, crashing the door open, and he comes into the dining room where he punches Stapleton, and he pulls out his gun and cocks it, but Holmes restrains him. And there's another skirmish, at which point I lost track of
what Stapleton, I think, punches Lestrade and grabs Lestrade's gun.
It's Lestrade's
gun and punches him. And I guess gets the keys to the handcuffs because he's not.
No. The handcuffs stay on.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. I completely missed that.
He shoots at Watson and Lestrade, both of whom sink to the floor, wounded.
No, it's Watson, right? That he shoots.
No, Lestrade is also kind of like slumped up against the wall.
Yeah, but Lestrade was slumped up against the wall before.
Oh, because he got punched. Duh.
Yeah.
Duh. Okay. So
it's to look down from time to time to take notes.
So it's only Watson that's been wounded. Yeah. And Holmes is trying to revive Watson, who just says, get after him.
Yeah, and Stapleton rushes out the door after he shoots.
Yep. So Holmes takes off after him while Watson tries to stop his own bleeding. Holmes chases Stapleton across the moor. Again, I saw this very clearly. Stapleton is handcuffed, but he still has the gun.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And Holmes falls in the mire, and he begins to get sucked down. Grips like the devil, doesn't it? Stapleton says, turning around and coming back to where Holmes is floundering. But you shouldn't struggle. Try to stay calm. And his handcuffed hands are pointing the gun at Holmes.
Yeah.
Holmes tries to shoot, but the gun has no more bullets.
Or, it's like the gun is also muddy. So
yeah, it just clicks and nothing happens. Don't panic, Stapleton says. The only way you can get out of there is to lie down. And he comes closer with the gun. He sits down on a nearby tree branch, which is the same one that Selden used to pull himself out of the mire. That way you can distribute your weight across the surface more evenly. Then you can try to swim your way to firmer ground. And he's just watching Holmes struggling. The odds, however, are very much against you. I've seen so many more ponies drown like this. I suppose the kindest thing would be to put you out of your misery.
The more ponies line was one Mortimer had
Yes. In the
and again, it's much more sinister here.
yes. Stapleton raises up the gun. Good night, Mr. Holmes. Or goodbye, Mr. Holmes. Good night, Mr. Holmes is the name of the
That's us.
And there is a gunshot, but it kills Stapleton.
And his head lurches back dramatically. He has a very operatic style death.
Yes. And Watson has recovered from his wound a little.
Well, he's still clutching his left hand to his abdomen,
Yes.
supposedly where he was shot. So, maybe it just went through scar tissue at that point.
But it was Watson doing the shooting from a short distance away. The problem now, Watson says, is how to get you out. He takes off his overcoat, still flinching at the wound, and he throws one end of the coat to Holmes, who grabs it. Now to put my tailor to the test, Watson says, and he pulls on his end of the overcoat. He's only got one working hand due to the injury, but he's braced his body against the ground and he's pulling backwards.
Yeah, he's lying on the ground.
He's pulling with his whole body, not just with his arm. And eventually Holmes comes out of the mire. 3 cheers for Savile Row, Watson says, collapsing, and Holmes collapses right next to him. So back at Baskerville Hall, Sir Henry's in bed with his head with an enormous bandage on it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like, great job, guys. He'll recommend you to all of his friends if you don't.
I got the impression that he was so loaded up with opium that he didn't notice anything. Watson's sitting on the bed next to him in his nightclothes, wearing a sling. Dr. Mortimer's off to the other side of the bed. Holmes comes in wearing a magnificent quilted silk robe, and hands Watson a glass of whiskey. Holmes,
of course, you're not drunk enough.
Holmes sits down by the fire with his own glass, groaning.
Mortimer apparently isn't allowed anymore.
Mortimer's just there. I don't know why. Whatever. Holmes is groaning. His muscles are clearly aching like crazy. An eventful Christmas day, to be sure, he says. He smiles a little and he looks over at Watson. Dr. Mortimer and Sir Henry are utterly expressionless.
Yeah, nobody is impressed with his quip.
No.
Just gives this embarrassed cough.
The next day, a news photographer is taking a picture of Holmes and Watson underneath the dog, which is dangling in what looks like a hanging room where deer are dressed after having been shot.
Yeah.
On the train back to London, Holmes and Watson are having dinner. Watson's looking at the photograph while Holmes reads the newspaper. I have a box for Les Huguenots tonight, he says. I thought a little dinner at Martini's on the way. He's trying to mollify Watson.
Yeah, he's trying to get Watson to talk to him.
Because Watson's just being sullen and looking utterly exhausted. And Watson sips at his wine. He says nothing. And then out of the blue, he says, the answer to your question is no. What? Holmes says. No, I don't trust you, Watson says. But Martini's would be nice.
And then Holmes just kind of nods. And like, okay.
All right, so I
can work with that.
We're getting back to normal.
Yeah. The end.
The end. Wow. I loved Richard E. Grant in this. Loved him. He was so much more sinister than the other Stapleton.
Yes.
By a long shot.
Yeah. He was so creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. That takes talent. It does. And in this version, Beryl dies, but in the other version, she doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess that's the difference between the movie and TV.
Yeah.
This is darker.
Yeah, this version was clearly committed to the Gothic elements. It never forgot that it was essentially telling a Gothic story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, I think you're right. I think I like it better.
Yeah.
And Roxburgh is okay as Holmes. I mean, I've been propagandized to death about Jeremy Brett. It's hard to see anybody else doing him after the job he did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's much more. He's a more laid back Holmes.
He is. Yeah, this one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is a Holmes who keeps things much closer to his chest.
He's more tightly wound for sure.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, you can see this Holmes absolutely keeping secrets from Watson without even really thinking about it.
Whereas Brett's Holmes is too busy flinging himself down onto carpets and pavement and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think that makes him easier for Watson to read.
Yeah. Well, he's more demonstrative. He's more expressive.
Yeah.
And this Holmes is nothing of the sort.
Yeah. He's very self-possessed.
Yep.
But this is also a much younger Holmes and Watson. So you get the impression, especially with the trust issues, that this is much earlier in their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, because by this time, Brett and Hardwick had kind of settled into this relationship and like settled their characters in the relationship.
And I think even story-wise, it's, you know, it's what, 13 years after they met?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, and Christmas wasn't a feature in the Granada homes.
No.
And of course, nobody does Christmas like the English, honestly.
The Germans, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where the English
royalty was.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Queen Victoria was German.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Hanovers. So yeah, it's no surprise. Anytime I'm watching an English drama, it's just seeing Christmas unfold. I'm like, it's so good. There's going to be feasting. There's going to be holiday greenery and trees, and it's
and weird plays.
Yes, that makes sense.
Nights and stuff.
The last time I was in London was in November of God, I want to say 2022, maybe 2023, and I went deliberately right before Christmas. No, it was early December. And I was going to see a pantomime, but I had a dinner scheduled, and I needed to linger at this dinner and talk with the restaurant owner because I love her to death. The place is called Fiona's with 2 F's.
Ooh.
And it's it's a farm to table kind of.
Oh, nice.
And she sits down with every single set of diners.
Wow.
Yeah. Her hospitality is beyond. So I was like, okay, I can skip a pantomime and hang out with Fiona for a while. So yeah.
Yeah. And part of why Christmas is such a big deal is because England has a national religion.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Unlike the US.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the schools are related to the local churches. So, and if you go to one of the posh schools, you're going to church several times a week.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's not yet something we have here. Hopefully we won't.
We won't. Knocking wood. No. Oh God. Anyway. All right. Let's go to England.
Yeah. I really like this version. Visually, it's much darker, and part of this is just the amount of time that has passed that it's technology has advanced to the point where you can get that lovely contrast that you didn't really see in the 80s.
Yep.
But I just, the wind is always howling, there's always rain, it's dark and gloomy, and it just feels like something to curl up and watch on a stormy night with a hot cup of tea.
Yes. Yeah. Or brandy.
Or brandy. Preferably brandy if you're going with the mood of the story.
Yes. But yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. And I also think the technology's gone the other way completely now, because now we get shows that are so dark we can't see them.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Like, all right, claw it back a little.
Yeah, I have heard some stories.
I have told you some stories. You don't work at HBO and not hear about that famous episode.
Oh, yeah, where they were like, nobody could see anything. They were like,
Anything.
oh, well, that's because the technology isn't blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Yeah, your TVs are behind. Dickwads.
In 2040, this will look beautiful.
Meanwhile, yeah, I literally had to turn all the lights out in my apartment even the one in the bathroom, which is way in the back, to be able to see anything that was happening during. It was a major battle.
That's just bad filmmaking.
They were terrible by that point. It was the last season, and these guys had their feet out the door for an Amazon deal about Star Wars, I want to say, which fell through. So they got their just desserts in the end.
Yeah, they did.
Anyway, yeah, let's claw it back and have things be a little bit lighter.
Yes. What this movie did was perfect.
Yes. Be more like this.
Exactly. Do you have anything else?
I don't.
Okay. That's all from us this week. If you enjoyed the show and haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to support us, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends. And join us next week when we'll be discussing the disappearance of Lady Frances Carfax.
Oh, Lady Carfax. Yay. All right. Talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.